Hey, what's going on, everyone, and welcome to the Deceptilab, and welcome to my weekly live stream. This your boy Freeze with everything new to talk about in Transformers Earth Wars, and that means we got to talk a little bit about this week's announcement that Space 8 made regarding Batch 14 of the 5 stars. And so, what I want to do today is take a look at some of these bots, and we haven't gotten them in testing yet or anything like that, but I do want to talk about each of these bots as 4 stars, and if there's some improvements that can be made to these bots, because I do imagine that a lot of these guys are going to have massive rework. Let me know in the chat what your ideas are for each of these bots, especially as we talk about them, man. Like, it's a few of them that I think are gonna be overhauled in their entirety. Excuse me. So I think that now's the time to get your ideas in. And I also want to take for a sneak peek at what we're talking about in playtest. Lockdown and Huffer are currently in testing for the next Legacy batch. Um, so far, it's looking pretty good. So I'll share my thoughts on it. If you got some other ideas, let me know about those too. But before we do any of that, let's take a look at this week's newsletter. And this week's event is called Game Changer. I actually had the wrong I had the wrong name for the event up there at first. So I had to go back and change it. Um and I was just like, man, Game Changer. I said that sounds like a name of an event when we're having an endurance event or something like that, right? But it's not. It's just a regular old saga. Um but anyhow, so it's week 2 of the saga. We got a nice little small individual totalizer this week. So I think it's 10K, and then yeah, it's 10K. Um, so some of the prizes you can get 40 medic crystals that only drop metal class characters. And I gotta say, I like getting those types of crystals just because you can try to pour on some of the character shards. So really good idea. When I saw that in this week's newsletter, I was kind of excited about it. Just because we only have a handful of medics in the game. So if you go in there and get those character shards, you know that it's going to be going towards one of them. So awesome job on that. War for Cybertron Skin Core, 2.5k of your 4-star shards, 7.5k of your 3-star shards. You get up to 4 of your 500k Troop XP items, 350k Spark, and 2 million of Alloy and Energon. So, pretty standard stuff with the exception that I think it was a cool idea, like I said, to add the medic crystals in there. Nah, it's pretty neat for 10k. Typical battle zones as always, and some game updates and information. So they're just basically saying it's been a quiet week, and make sure you check out all of your content creators. That means Engineer Horse, myself, Soldier, and Sunstreak Owaza, which I saw a couple of you guys on his stream earlier. So make sure you check out all those guys, as well as the unofficial content creators, which a few of them we got in the chat. I'll give those guys a shout out as always. So we're looking at the saga schedule. We're in week 2. Next week there's going to be a 500k Alliance event. Prime Cores going to be Prime Core Shards going to be on the line, and really starting to get backed up on those. I wanted to go get more of those. I want the next HQ phase to come out so I can actually get another Prime Core. So right now I'll be at 1. Um, I'll be getting, probably depending on how many they put in there, I might be getting close to 2 when the next one comes out. So we'll see how that goes. And then following that, it's going to be your 50k, your individual totalizer for your combat shards. It's saying it's going to be 2,000 of those. Should be a good time. And we still got to see what's going to happen with the next 3 weeks of the saga after that before the endurance event. So I still need to drop that video about my interview with Dale series talking about all of the events, and I had some insightful stuff today. I got a little bit busy to go drop the video this past weekend, but I'll drop it this weekend. Cool artwork as always. And for bug fixes and improvements, it said Defensor had a bug where his damage wasn't matching the tooltip, and that has supposedly been fixed. I have to actually go check it out to go see. But yeah, they said that's been fixed. And Space 8 moved their team stream to the 1st of February. So uh, they made an announcement today because it was supposed to originally have been today, and they were going to talk a little bit about more about the UI, and they also wanted to release some new content and reveal that to you guys. So should be exciting. We'll see them in what's that, 2 weeks? So yeah, actually yeah, it's 2 weeks. I said actually let me look again because the 1st of February, I thought that was a weekend. That's a Thursday. That's a Thursday. Cool. Yeah, I was looking at that because that's actually the day that I can apply for retirement. So yeah, so yeah, I'll be watching Space Save stream and also planning that out. But that's all we get for the news this week. Let's go over to the chat and see who we get in there. So it looks like, let me go back to the top of this thing. Let me go all the way to the top. So let's see. Oh man, it looks like the top got cut off there. So I'm gonna go read off. Sorry if I miss anyone. I'm gonna read off who I actually see. Saw Mercenary Terrier in there, my good friend and moderator buddy. Thanks for joining, as well as one of my other good friends and moderators, Chris Harmon's in here with us again. We also have Michael Cooper. Thanks for joining again, buddy. As well as E Rod is with us again. Uh, Lou Mega 123 is with us, and let's see. Oh yeah, you did make it, Penny Lancaster. I was talking to you on Waz's stream earlier, and he was like, "Hey, what time you starting?" Because I know I've been moving around. Speaking of which, so and I have to confirm this again. So this should be the last week of me doing Thursdays for a while. My son's basketball season is get ready to end. They were supposed to be playing on Friday, but the other team had to cancel. We're gonna have some snow in the area over the next day or so. So the other team canceled school. But hopefully that they don't make that game on Wednesday. But other than that, like our season's supposed to end on Monday, so I'll be back to Wednesdays at 6, hopefully next week. But I'll send you guys in Discord. I'll send you a tag, and I'll also send you guys a I'll send you guys something in the community tab on Facebook as well. So yeah, that'll not Facebook, but on actual YouTube. So that'll work out. So keep an eye out for that next week. Probably around next week, Tuesday. All right, let's see. So we got Autobot Phil. Thanks for joining again, buddy. My good playtester friend Jacada. Thanks for joining. Uh, got my bro Candyman in there. still, still repping Cyclonus, 5-star Cyclonus for next time. Let's see. The homie Big Joe is in there with us again. Thanks for joining, Big Joe. Let's see. Every Day I'm Alive is in here with us again. Thanks for joining us, buddy. We got the Nally Kid 93 with us. Thanks for joining. My other playtest buddy King Grimlock is in here with us again. Thanks for joining. Speak of the Devil, Soldier is in the chat. Make sure you guys check out his content as well. I know he just dropped a video on about the release of about the announcement for these bots. So make sure you check that out as well. Shoot, I need to check it out. I actually hadn't looked at it yet. Been a busy week at work, but um, yeah, definitely go check him out. And Jacada says, "I'm glad that he." So Jacada apparently lives in Phoenix, and he was like, "Yeah, the heck with all that snow you guys are coming up with." Yeah, man, like it hasn't been bad here. So for me, I live in Delaware, and down here we had a. I don't even know if that was, maybe it was about 2 inches the other day. So it wasn't anything too crazy, but they're calling for, I want to say it's like 4 to 6 inches coming in here. Ironically enough, it'll start when I go to work in the morning. So I was like, man, come on, start overnight, bro, so I can get a day off. But nah, that's where we're at. That's where we're at right now. They canceling basketball games, possibly school stuff like that. We'll see how it goes. But all right. So, what do you guys? Let me know in the chat. Have you already saw the announcement? I imagine most of you did. What did you think about the bots that are coming out for batch 14, 5-star batch? And I'll run off the names real quick. And you guys also let me know who you want to talk about first. Like I said, we haven't started testing yet, but I want to see, I want to look at these guys as 4 stars, and that'll help me, especially from the play testing standpoint, determine how I want to proceed. Like, is there any things that you want? Let me know in the chat. So, so let's talk about. So the first we got, and I'll actually post them up, post their pictures up on the screen as we go through it. But so we always have our vote, and for our vote, you guys probably saw that on my screen from the thumbnail last week. But we got, representing the gunner class, we got Sea Phantom and Whirl, who are going to be here for the winner, representing the winner of that vote, that 5-star vote on Discord. And a lot of people, I think, what really drove that is people were looking for the 5-star combiner piece for God Neptune and Ruin Nation. Dale did make an announcement over the course of the week, and I'm gonna switch over to the large screen here for a minute. But I think that was really the driving factor for Sea Phantom and World. And Dale made the announcement, said, "Hey, they are gonna do it at some point. He doesn't know when yet, but that's a bold move, man. And for a couple of reasons, I felt like if they wanted to have that opportunity to rework some of the old combiners, give them some new life, then maybe that would be the time to go put in a bot like Rampage, and then you would go get all of the pieces that you needed for Predaking, and then because it's perfectly matched. Like last time, I was talking about how there are different bots for Autobots and Decepticon combiners, but they don't always necessarily match the combiner piece. Then I don't know, that one would have been, that one would have been perfect. Then you could have got Predaking and Volcanicus, but they didn't work that way. They put Sea Phantom in the vote. Obviously, Sea Phantom and World have all the pieces for God, Neptune, and Ruin Nation. They're gonna make a 5-star. We'll see how strong they want to make it, because I mean, let's be honest, God, Neptune, and Ruin Nation are already plenty strong. So we'll see how that goes. All right. So the runner up for that one, for that vote, was Rodimus Unicronus. And I've noticed a couple of different times that they've actually, um, last couple of times, so Rodimus Unicronus and Inferno are going to be here this time. And I noticed the last couple of times they've actually gone and took the runner up. Usually the vote can get kind of close at times, and so I think this is a good pick. This is not last time, but the I think the vote before last was actually Rodimus Unicronus was my vote, and I think he's going. I think he's. I think he's good. And I know Chris and I were talking the other day, and we were kind of talking about why he's a good bot, why he's a bad bot. Um, his usage rates and stuff like that, which I'm pretty sure Space Ape isn't going to share. But I think that would they make him a 5-star. Um, and we're in a meta where combos are important. I think that he's going to be one of those bots that you can combo him with anything. You can work him into any team. And I think he's one of the few really good 4 stars as he is right out the box. Um, that when you go put him in the 5 star, he's not going to need a tremendous amount of work. Um, but I do think they're going to need to address his health. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'm going to go through each bot so you can see who's in the batch. Um, so let's see. This one was the shocker to me. The shocker for me was that they are putting Waspinator and Tigerhawk in a batch. I was not expecting that one. That was the Space 8 pick, and I'm really curious to see how this goes. Now, I'll be honest with you, this is one of those bots that I do not have a terrible amount of experience with. So what I'll probably do is I'll actually finish leveling him up. Because I'm on my test server, I think I got him up to 66 right now. I ain't even done anything with his ability yet. We'll see how that goes. So I'll do some testing and give an honest assessment of that as well. And then we have our 2 endurance bots that will be entering the batch. Um, Full Tilt's gonna finally enter the batch. He came out in March last year, bro. So it's been a really, really long time waiting on Full Tilt to come out. Um, a lot of people, a lot of the criticisms. If you saw my my interview that I had with Dale, one of the things we were talking about is endurance bots being kind of niche. But to be honest with you, I can see a lot of value in Full Tilt, especially with me being a slipstream user. So that'll be Full Tilt and Brawn, excuse me. So that's Brawn for you guys on the Autobot side. Um, but when you're using some of them slipstream and air raid combos, it really, really does work. If you're using Bumblebee or Scrapnel, Shrapnel, because I know Terror is watching. Those are really good combos with or any of your electrical bots. Uh, or you can combo him to himself, but I prefer to use Slipstream and Air Raid because you get that ability 11, you get that stun, and then you can just kind of explode that on impact, huge damage. So we'll see how that goes. And then the last one that we're gonna have, another endurance bot is going to be Sila and Ariel are going to join the batch. Now, I do think this with Scylla coming into the game, it's going to be a little bit of an advantage for all of you guys on the Decepticon side who went for Scylla and the Endurance, and it's going to be a little bit of an advantage on the Autobot side because you all you all will already have all your bots for Ruin Nation without having to wait to make this pull out of this batch. So on the con side, you're gonna have to pull Scylla if you don't have Scylla already, and that's gonna be a little bit of a hold up for some of us on the con side. So I would imagine if I had to take a guess, I would think that Space Ape is going to hold off on a little bit, give the Decepticon players a little bit of an opportunity to play catch up. So we'll see how it goes. All right. I've been rambling on. Let me take a look in the chat, see what's going on. And Big Joe, see, they already started the debates about Rodimus Unicronus already, man. Like Big Joe says, they glad that they finally included him. Chris said, "No way, Rodimus is a waste." Michael Cooper says the whole batch needs a buff. Big Blade 297, one of my good friends and content creators. Make sure you check out his channel, guys. As well as Mercenary Terror. Mercenary Terror is excellent content creator. Um, check him out as well, guys. Don't be shy if you guys want to post in links into the chat. Feel free to do so. Jacada says Inferno is the best out of the bunch. See, Chris, and see, all right, so I actually had this conversation with Chris the other day, and he says if Rodimus is that good, are you using this 4 star? And to be honest with you, I'm not. because the one strategy everybody was using for the longest time, and I'll actually, while we're talking about it, I actually pull these bots up and kind of do a run through on it. And you kind of pushing me into a corner to talking about him first, so I will talk about him first. But a lot of people were using him because Texas Hammer, one of my teammates over at Horde, um, he was using it real heavy when we first started the asset meta, and everybody was saying, "Hey, we can combo this dude right here, knockout, along with Scavenger." And one of the key things, and one of the biggest things that I really, really like about Rodimus Unicronus is that he buffs abilities, and I think that's so awesome. I'm not even going to throw in any additional power cores on these guys, or anything. We just kind of just taking a look at what these bots actually do, right? So no, I'm not using the 4 star. But I've got a pretty wide variety of 5 stars that I use. Um, and the thing is this, and I'm not picking at you, Chris. We always have conversations, and we're always welcome to agree, disagree, or whatever, right? But I never use nobody's using them as a reason to say if a bot is good or bad. There might be some things where you say, "Hey, man, I think this one is better." There's only 8 bots that can go in the shuttle, right? But when you look at an ability like this, and you tell me that a bot can not only increase your damage, but all damage, so that includes your abilities, I think that's really a big deal, and it's something that you be looking at because it's a combo. Like when I say like slipstream and full tilt, something like that. Like full tilt, I'm depending on like an electrical bot, right? Rod, you not depending on anything. I can use him with all kinds of flyers. I can use him with all kinds of gunners. I can use him in situations where now we're dealing with so much healing. We're dealing with so much defense and shielding. Um, I think it's a naturally occurring combo, and think that I I think he's usable. Anytime I look at a bot and I say he's usable in all kinds of different platforms, all kinds of different base designs, he's automatically gonna get a thumbs up in my book. And if I pull him, I may or may not use him right out the gate, but I can tell you one time that I think that people are gonna look back and say, "I'm glad they put this bot in the batch immediately." And I think that time is gonna be when HQ19 finally drops and everything starts to go up damage wise, and you don't always necessarily, now for you, Chris, you usually go for all the endurance bots and everything like that, but for some of the people who don't, and you're still trying to use some of the last gen bots as we transition over into HQ19, I think that's when Rodimus is gonna I think that's when he's gonna become the most popular, because then you're gonna say, "Oh man, I'm really close to taking down this shield generator, but these bots that I have currently can't do it." And then you're gonna say, "Oh, I'll just use Rodimus Unicronus. I'll just use Inferno, and then I'll be able to take out, shielded items like that." So I think that's where the value is gonna come in. Um, I think he's really good. I do understand the concerns though, and some of the concerns are that for a warrior, he's got lower health. Um, they're gonna go through a little bit of rework. I can almost guarantee you, and I got some of my fellow playtesters in the chat. Cicada, King Grimlock, let me know. Like when we get to this point, I'm almost certain that most of us are gonna go for trying to go get more health for this dude, and possibly a couple other little goodies. You never know how that rework goes, but I do think that he's the most ready to go out of this entire batch. So let's take a look at what he looks like on the actual battlefield. And I keep it simple since I ain't got no power cores, nothing on these dudes. I put them in here in like a zone 15 or something like that. Big Blade 297 said that the newsletter was a letdown. Yeah, they kept it really simple this week. Chris did make a good point when I was talking to him earlier in the week. He was like, "Freeze, how come they didn't put the 5 star announcement in the newsletter?" And I was like, "Yeah, you probably should have did that. That's a huge miss, in my opinion." Anytime something, people get excited about this stuff. You gotta post that in there. All right, so one of the drawbacks that a lot of people have because his health is lower, you don't always want to rush him out front into the line of fire. So a lot of times, what I'll do is I'll actually, especially if I got a full team, I'll rush him sideways. And what I like to do is try to, just use ability. So a lot of people were using this as an ability. Now, granted, this is a pretty easy base. I can try it on a harder base here in a moment. But you get those 10 seconds to just rattle off some abilities. You got fire and acid pairing, so you're getting an extra 20% there. And right now, I'm not using. This is what it looks like without his ability. You can actually see it's working. It's working a little bit slower. And I allowed myself to get stunned there, so we'll see how it goes. But this is one of the primary ways people were doing it. So, I mean, when you look at it from that standpoint, I mean, that's fast. Um, but then I can see myself using like air class bots and trying to make something out of it that way. I can see, you know, just just making a lot of good use out of that ability. Um, I like it, to be honest with you. But let me know in the chat, guys. What do you think about Rodimus Unicronus and Inferno for this upcoming batch? Is it something you'll use? Is it something you're not gonna use? Let me know. I'm actually about to go read the chat right now. Let's see. Chris Harmon says Sea Phantom is best. Mercenary Terry agrees that Sea Phantom is awesome. Yeah, and Big Joe made the comment that Dale said it could be released with or shortly after the new batch release. So I wouldn't I wouldn't do it with, and I'll probably have that convers. Well, I probably will have that conversation with Space Ape just because I don't think that. And don't get me wrong, it's not because I'm a Decepticon that I feel that way. If you didn't do that endurance event for Scylla, you are at a disadvantage because there are going to be people that have that new combiner before you. Now, granted, this is not like this is a combiner that we use on defense. You can feel free to continue using God Neptune as a 4 star, and you're probably going to do just fine. What I hope that doesn't drive though is I hope that that doesn't drive them to nerf God Neptune and Ruin Nation in any way. They are really strong, and you guys had me on record saying it. I do think that it's probably a little bit too powerful, but no, I am not calling for them to nerf it. I think it's going to be fine by the time we wind up adding Phase 3, by the time we get to HQ 19. So it's a lot to think about when you think about just from a fairness standpoint. Let's see. I didn't see you in there earlier, but I see Kujias is in there. Thanks for joining, buddy. And he says y'all having a solid war today. Yeah. I hadn't checked it out. I'm on base. I'm supposed to be fighting base 5 soon on our current war. But to be honest with you, like we had a rough day yesterday. A real tough war against Psyops. So which we wind up falling just a little bit short. So yeah, I think everybody's in the spirit today of just having a real good war today because that went that way yesterday. So yeah, and Big Blade and I had that conversation on Discord. Was it yesterday or the day before? But we were talking about the 5 star Ruination doesn't need a nerf because it's got an Achilles heel of FFD. Let's see. Chris says Rampage will be awesome. Highly classified. I didn't catch you earlier, but thanks for joining. And highly classified says I wouldn't use any of my war team as is. So that's and it's a good point. Um, I'll be honest with you. I hate when we do massive reworks of bots, and just because it's going to the 5-star batch. Now, I understand the reason why we got to do it, but I was just like, make bots awesome. Make like ability wise, make the bots awesome. Now, power creep is gonna happen. And in case in point, later on we're gonna talk about Huffer and Lockdown, right? Those were bots that I want to say they were in the tutorial for the game. So those are bots that have been there since the game came out in like 2016 or something like that, right? Um, those are obviously gonna need some love. Like we went from HQ1 all the way to HQ18. But my focal point in testing is usually balance, and I talk a lot about balance. And a lot of guys want to throw like a lot of different ideas in there, and occasionally I'll throw an idea or two in there. But it's like I don't see testing as where, hey, I just want to just go make my own ideas for the make the team that I want to make. I always try to think about what's going to be best for players at different levels and stuff like that. So for me, when you say make the comment that, hey, I don't want to use them on my war team as is, yeah, you know what? This is why realistically I do believe that we're going to have to do some major reworks, because a lot of people aren't going to put these bots on their war team as is, and that's okay because, like I said earlier, it's only 8 bots in the shuttle. Let's see. Big Blade says Predaking should have been the first 5-star. Big Joe says should have been Devastator, um, even though it would have taken more time. I see LJ Gav joined us. Thanks for joining, LJ. Let's see. I got a comment that says Rodimus Unicronus needs a vampire-like effect. His G1 should be like Onyx, except it's just not to him. It's rather his team, and then it goes away when he dies. That would actually be dope. I think that would flirt with the line of possibly being OP, but it just depends on percentages, honestly. But I do like the idea. It might be something that I bring up when it comes up. Let's see. Yeah, Lou says we hope we get a ton of exciting news on the 2024 news on the next TFEW stream. Hopefully, buddy. Jay Funk, my teammate over in Horde, is in here. Good friend of mine. Uh, says he says he's gonna use Rodimus Unicronus because he's got that porn mustache. Yeah, but to your point, Chris, um, now he's saying that they'll use Rodimus if they give him more health, but he's saying no, they don't need to give him a shield. Dude, we have played that shield thing on rush tanks out. So and some non-rush tanks. Um, yeah, so anything that's not a shield, I'd probably be cool with. Penny Lancaster says if they get air raid working right, I can see using air raid with blue streak trigger and yeah, use a blue streak as the trigger and inferno buff, hurting players' feelings and prime league hard mode and clearing out bases. I can see that. And the thing is like, you know, never actually had that problem. Like all the people have been reporting these problems with air raid and slipstream. I've not had any problems with. I've been using slipstream like it ain't nothing. But I also only use it like 2 times a battle too, and it's usually like on a build bot or something like that, and whatever surrounding it. So I might not even notice. Big Blade agrees with me that the 5-star might be prominent for, or the 5-star Ruination and God Neptune might be prominent for HQ19. Let's see. And to Big Joe's point, you do need to buff some other combiners, man. And I just think the order is backwards. If I go in there and I build a 5-star Ruination and God Neptune, and then later on I come out with a Predaking, that Predacing's going to have to be awfully good for me to even put them back into the conversation. And I just don't see that happen when you're reworking old content. And Dale and I even talked about it on that interview. I think what's going to happen is they'll be better, but they still won't be used that much. Whereas if you made them better now, they might not get too much use in the upper leagues, but they will still get some use. Maybe even in the upper leagues on like a B1, B2 situation. But right now, this United's not even usable for that, and I think you got to cover that power creep gap a little bit, which is why I focus so hard on balancing. Let's see. And I see Terra's got a idea in there for kill Bison, Iron Bison G1 every 20 seconds. Throw out a knife, dealing damage to target, and beyond basic damage increased by 10%. That could be cool. I I honestly, I told you before. I said I like Kill Bison. I like Center Twin a little bit more. So maybe that was that's what I was hoping would kind of sneak into a batch. But all right, man. That's I done talked about Rodimus Unicronus. Let's talk about who should we talk about next. Let me look at my notes real quick. I'm gonna move this a little closer. It's turning my head too far away from the camera. I actually want to talk about, and I probably need to go in there. Let me see if I can add a couple of levels real quick to Waspinator because I'm really curious. And what do you guys think about this pick? I was kind of shocked because it's like I've seen a lot of lower level players use Waspinator, and usually I see that more on defense. Um, Now people will probably use it differently when it first came out, right? People were just saying, "Oh, it's a new bot. Let me go throw him on offense." But I mean, like, how long ago has that been? I lost count to be honest. But I'm just really, I was kind of shocked, and it makes me wonder what kind of buff are we gonna do to this thing. So let me know in the chat if you got any really good ideas. All right, yeah, that's taking too long. I'm definitely not going to do that this way. I should have did it before stream, but shoot, level 67, that ain't bad. So Chris said um definitely gonna have more damage. So this is at level 67, which is usually right around the area that you say, all right, well, nah, it's, you know, level wise, you're saying that it's war ready, right? So let's take a look at it there and see what it looks like stat wise. So just looking at it, damage wise, like just normal damage wise, it's pretty good. You get it at 877.8. Health wise, it's okay. Could probably use a little bit more health. Um, and I want to go ahead while we're talking and go pump up that ability a little bit, see if we can get more damage out of the ability or not. Big Joe says, "Can I get 30 mil XP from one Energon too?" Yeah, I mean, it would be dope, but that's unfortunately that's just on a playtest account, so I can go in there and fast track my way through getting bots leveled for playtest purposes. I would love to just look in there one day. Shoot, even if they just had 30 mil XP in there for any reason, even if I had to earn it in the event, I would like that. Like I'm earning mine's like 1 million at a time, and I just got to that point where I felt comfortable doing it like that. 3 million Shanix for one Energon would be sweet. Man, listen, now that I'm actually using all of my now that I'm actually using my Shanix to go run through events, I want more Shanix. And Chris has been saying that for a while, and I was like, Shanix, why do you want Shanix? But then he was like, yeah, man, I'm taking my combiners and going in the event, and I'm getting through them in like a few hours. And I was like, oh, I guess I should want that too. That's what I'm saying. I've been struggling through events, letting them go too long for years. And I learn from you guys all the time, man. And that's why I always tell you guys, like, I don't know everything. So some of you guys come up there and you talk to me. Chris teaches me stuff all the time. Tara teaches me stuff all the time. A few of you guys just always keep me on my toes. So I was like, shoot, yeah, I like it. King Grimlock says, save your Z Energon. Yeah, I mean, I have been for the most part. I mean, I use some every now and again on my stuff, but I always refill mine's back up. Oops. I'm supposed to be going to put that last level on Waspinator. Alright, so we got the 750 there. And let's see, LJ says, ask Hyro to bump up the Shanix on midweek events. Bro, we don't even really talk to Hyro like that for real, bro. I say I could. I could ask him. But I mean, they just, well, man, I was going to say they doubled it, but they didn't double it. They cut it out. They cut out the original raid. So it's kind of like, nah, they didn't. But I mean, we should have other ways to earn Shanix. That would be dope. And one of the ways we could do it, and I've been saying this for about 2 or 3 years now, is that we should do a couple of raid events. Raid events are easy. You can still participate as an alliance, and you can throw some Shanix in there. You know what I'm saying? It breaks up the monotony. We do the same types of events all the time, but nobody be feeling me when I say that though. I know Chris will be feeling me on that because he like raids. So all right, so off rip, I'm gonna tell you right now, at that 7+4 cost, that's gotta go. So when you do this ability and it says you can summon Wasp in the area to deal, that's your damage. So the damage is really low. You can slow down enemy attacks by 25%, which we do have some slowdown bots that are a little bit more efficient than that. And then you're gonna add another 2,000 each. So each stinger, 8 of them, is gonna do 2,029 damage each. So let's see what that looks like. And because I want to do a damage test, I will go. I'm gonna take Lockdown out. I'm gonna stick this dude in. Oh, it's all the way at the bottom. Why did it go to the bottom? I had. Michael Cooper says Waspinator could do with an increase on his slowdown. That he could. So him and Tigerhawk could probably do an increase, and especially because I know a lot of players at the lower and mid tiers like to put them on defense too. Um, Try to slow down some of those attackers. So I mean, they could use a bump, but I don't think it's going to stop there. I think it's going to wind up being something a little bit more creative than that. If I'm gonna be honest with you. All right, so Waspinator. So first thing I noticed, I said the range is good, but not great compared to some other air class bots. So some you could get a little bit more out of it. And the other thing is, this dude spends a lot of time up in the air, man. And one thing I always thought about with this bot is because you're doing a slowdown. So I guess I hadn't really seen the value before of doing a slowdown while you're airborne, but I guess it's supposed to be to support your team. So if you slow down like these mortars and everything that's in the background, then when my team walks up, they won't be taking as much damage. So I'll give that a pass. But you're just really suscepting him to a lot of damage in the air, which obviously you got ways around that. Um, you could with power cores and combats and stuff like that. Um, But what do you want to use? Are you gonna pull like an amalgamous off of somebody or something like that? Do you want to use like a singe while he's on the ground to try to go and work him through? I don't know. I think he's gonna have a massive overhaul. If I gotta be honest, I don't think they're just gonna. I don't think they're just gonna leave him like that in all transparency. So you know, but like I said, let me know in the chat what you think. Big Play says he's concerned for the next vote too. And Terra followed that up by saying that it's probably going to be a bunch of votes for Rampage. I think you're. I don't even know. Like now that there's going to be a 5-star God Neptune, though, are people going to vote for Rampage? And I'm surprised that people didn't start doing it this time. But then I think when people saw that window of opportunity, when they said, "Hey, we can get a 5-star God Neptune," people are saying that that's the best combiner in the game because honestly, right now he kind of is. I don't know. All right, so let's see. So I want to talk about Full Tilt and Brawn. And this one will probably be short because I like Full Tilt quite a bit. The problem is like, he's got that scout like behavior. And to be honest with you, he can kind of be, if you don't know what you're doing, he can be kind of difficult to use. So in this case, we'll take a look at his stats. So, you got a special class. Now, I got him at level 67. I ain't taking him to 68 today. Um, you know, I love that there's not a repeat. For repeat uses, his cost doesn't increase. It's just going to be 4. He can stun himself, so that's cool. But if anything has got an EMP effect around it, he can just zap it with that 13 over 13k damage. So I'm going to use him in a lot of cases, and it's a lot of different combos that you can use with electrical bots. But I actually really, really like using this dude with Slipstream and Air Raid. The problem is because this one has that ability 11, so now you're talking about being able to destroy pretty much anything that you want for for 7 points plus some damage to the outside to AOE damage as well coming from slipstreams, uh, bomb exploding. You're pretty much guaranteed that it's going to explode. The problem is this: when you go look at some of the toughest defenses in the game, mainly being the MDS, your shock towers, which are usually going to have some type of prime core on it, usually like a Liege, a Megatron, or something like that. Um, you're not going to do any damage on those using your those EMP attacks. You're not going to be able to stun them, so you're not going to be able to target them with full tilt. So then it's like, okay, for the things that I can use it on, the 13k is kind of overkill, isn't it? And that's for me is the bigger flaw with these two. But for everything else, it works, and I think that's something. I don't know. I don't know how you address that. If I'm being honest, I do not know what you do to address that. The other thing is, and even though right now Full Tilt's walking a little bit behind Slipstream, Full Tilt's range is slightly shorter. So if you go into a battle where it's like really congested, you're going to run into the problem that you might try to reach. So what I usually wind up finding myself doing is checking Full Tilt's range and then checking Slipstream's range. So like for example, if I go up here to this beam laser at the top, oh man, I can reach it with air raid or Slipstream. I can't reach that with Full Tilt. So it kind of makes me wonder. It's like, oh man, like what do I do now? I wanted to hit that combo, and it's already kind of a niche combo. So, what do I do now? So Um, that's one of those things that you really got to be careful about when you use this bot. But so I don't know. I want to take some time this weekend and think about what kind of suggestions I'm going to make for these guys. But that's one of those things. Uh, so Vlastra says Brainstorm does electrical attacks. Um, yeah, that's true. And so for you guys on the bot side, see our counterpart, um, which is going to be Guy doesn't do that. So it does kind of add that particular advantage for you guys on that side. Yeah, I caught myself. He was like, our con counterpart is Nah, I caught myself. It's Guy Hawk. I appreciate the help though, bro, for real. Cause sometimes I spend a lot of time. I got a lot of Autobot friends, and I spend a lot of time speaking Autobot. Sometimes it gets tough to go back and speak Decepticon again. So stream days, I get ready and I go speak Decepticon again. But it's like almost all week I'm speaking Autobot, so I had to keep it all right in my head. All right, so one bot I'm actually surprisingly excited about is I actually want to pull Scylla, and for you guys on the Autobot side, that's Ariel. And the reason for that is this: on my live account, like right now, I'm on my test account. On my live account, I do not have Megatron, and so this ability that Scylla has, this Death Kiss, is one of those control type abilities, and so if you target something with your beacon, your whole squad should follow you to that beacon. Um, that's appealing to me because I do feel like there's going to be a point in time where that strategy is going to be something really, really prevalent in the game again. And when that time comes, I do want to be prepared. There's also that piece that I was talking about earlier, the Decepticons. If you didn't do that endurance event, you're going to want this bot for that 5-star piece for God Neptune. So, um, yeah, I think it's gonna be cool, man. I would like to have that, and I would like to level her relatively quickly because I do think that time is gonna come. This is another bot that doesn't have cost for repeat use. I think that personally, I think that cost might be a little bit too cheap for what she does. But I'm not arguing with anybody on that. Like, it is what it is. Good G1. You get an execute ability that comes in there. Um, with that G1. She's solid, man. Excellent health. She's a warrior, so the damage isn't overly high. Just an overall good bot, man. So, go put her in on the battlefield real quick, see what's going on. I see Big Blade says he's only 12.54 stars, 4K stars away, 4K shards away. Excuse me, I can't talk today. From Metro. Congrats, bro. I know you've been looking forward to that for a minute, and I know because of like how you've been processing some of your theories about the stuff. I know that's going to be a really really good pickup for you because when everybody's using the new shiny stuff, you can try to go capitalize off of that theory you've been talking about. I tried to do it. I couldn't do it like you was doing it, but I do think it's a lot of validity to it still. Yeah, and I see that you're also saying that you're leveling the Ariel to replace your Optimus Prime. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about, man. Like when they and this is why when people talk about, oh man, they're making so many of these bots the same. They get the same type abilities, they're similar abilities. Those small differences become big differences because I would love to use a bot like this when the situation calls for it. 100%. And right now, I'm just kind of just showing off the ability. Now, one thing I will say, and a reason why I think her cost isn't very high, is because that range is very, very limited. So you're probably going to have to spam it. And I get it. You don't want her to be overpowered, and so when that becomes that's when it becomes something that you want to look out for. But the other thing is this, and I actually want to look at it in this case. Once you destroy that target, one of the major flaws is that those bots, they're gonna stop following you. And in the current meta, I don't see her being overly useful because everything's everything's designed around a split. Her walk speed seems a little bit on the slow side. But man, she can soak up some damage. And if you can get everybody, and you can't target everything. Like right here, I'm going to target this. I'm probably going to destroy it, and everybody is going to not follow anymore. So there's some things to work out. Overall, the concept for her is good. You just got to be really careful with it is that you're targeting, and you got to actually get them to do it because like this is one of those things where everybody didn't really follow very well. All right, and then lastly, at least as far as the 5-star batch goes, I want to talk about Whirl and Sea Phantom. And I thought about these guys a little bit. I think it was the last stream, but man, honestly, man, a lot of people are saying, already calling for this one to be the bot that needs the most work. I saw a lot of talk. I think mostly I saw it online app today. I might have saw a little bit on Discord. I was pretty active on social media today. Um, it's another one of those bots that does have two different abilities. Um, Sea Phantom, Sea Phantom's got the acid thrower, so yeah, never can go wrong with acid. They do have two different costs for these two different abilities. That Guided Rocket just doesn't do the damage that we probably needed to do for where the game is currently. The acid thrower, I know they're probably not gonna do as much, and I think this is one of those cases when the Autobot version has a different ability too. Let me take a look. Go to my gunners. Shoot, I don't even think I got World on here anymore after we did our last thing. But you guys, a lot of you Autobots in the chat, um, is World's ability acid as well? Because I don't think that it is. But let me know in the chat because I say I ain't got him on this account. I know I got him on my live account. But I do think Sea Phantom is going to need some attention. Um, you got to make these guys compete with other gunners. Yeah, and thanks for confirming that, buddy. The world does have fire, and dude, I honestly wish, and I said it when World and Sea Phantom first came out. I actually check the bot versions when I'm doing testing now for the same reason. They gotta stop making mismatch abilities because you never know when you want to change something with a element. Make them the same as much as possible. And I actually had that conversation with Dale in my interview because we were talking about legacy batches. You gotta make that stuff even to make it fair. So Sea Phantom, you got two different abilities. Pretty decent range on this one. So for that acid, um, I really wish that these abilities would combo. You got really good range on those missiles though, but it just doesn't do a lot of damage. Now I think that if it did more damage, they're gonna make it. I think they're gonna make it cut that range down some, which would really suck because I do like having that longer range like that. So there's got to be a sweet spot in there somewhere where this dude. I want to see him somewhere in the neighborhood of where they have I want to see him somewhere in the neighborhood of where they got trigger happy and six gun, but I think that might be OP. And I think that might also drive up his cost. Now down here on a lower level base, it's fine, but it's gonna be a problem when you go up to the higher levels. So I don't know, man. What do you guys think he needs? Esclahasi, I didn't even see you in the chat, but he says I got him. He was on the bottom row. Let me go look again. Yeah, sometimes I just read stuff too fast. I was telling Dale earlier today, I was in playtest saying something earlier, and I was like, man, I was just reading like a mile a minute. Yeah, there he is, 2 star. Yeah, and that's what I was talking about. So he's got the flamethrower. Um, I just don't like having those mismatched abilities like that either. So that'll be. I do know before I address anything else, I want to address that when we get to play test. I just want it to be perfectly fair. And they did fire for a lot of the Autobots. Man, that just sucks, man. When you went and made acid meta, they should have instantly. And the thing is, when acid meta first started, one of the things they did was make an inclusive list of every element that was available out there, and they put it on the wiki. That was the time, and I know it would have taken a lot of time, but before they released anything dealing with acid meta, they should have went up there and gave all the Autobots that had those fire abilities and the conversion had acid abilities. They should have went back and fixed that first. And now here it is, a couple of years later, it's just not right. So hopefully, I did. When we were doing that interview, that's one of the things Dale and I talked about. They're probably going to have to address it through the legacy batches and stuff like that. So you're going to do that for this batch as well. Yeah, and yeah, I see a couple of you guys defending Sea Phantom. That's cool, man, and that's one of those things. That's why I love that everybody plays the game and loves the bots they like. That's why I never try to discourage anybody. I just think that as the game progresses and as you get more you know you get stronger on defense. You want something that's going to be able to take more stuff out, because if I go, as a matter of fact, I'll use my own base as an example. I use my own base as an example. Bro, he's not going to put a dent in much of anything like that with that amount of damage. And that's not even talking about prime leg hard mode or anything like that. We're just talking about when you go up against another HQ18. So, and I think I actually did hit hard mode on this one, but hard mode on the playtest server isn't actually as hard as it is on the live server. But someone used that missile. Oops, I hit the wrong one. I supposed to be using the missile on that mortar. I use it on this one instead. And it's saying it's just falling a little bit short, so it's gonna need that damage bump, and that's just a mortar. Imagine me trying to go to war and I'm going up against, shielded items. I'm going up against the the shock towers and the MDS. He's gonna have to have a significant bump. I like the concept. The concept is cool. He's got good range for an acid body. He's got great range for a missile. We just gotta make him a little bit tougher, a little bit stronger. All right. And speaking of all the 5 star bots, I actually want to talk about this legacy batch a bit. So right now we're working on the 4 star version of Lockdown and Huffer. Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. What they've done with them so far is pretty neat. And I know you guys probably saw the announcement on Discord earlier today talking about what they're actually doing with them. But I like this a lot, man. So he's gonna have 2 abilities. The one is going to be called the Rupture Beam Laser. So we're debating about whether we want to keep this attack speed increase or not. I think with him being a lower health melee bot, you might not necessarily need it. I think it was actually Waza that bought that up, and I kind of agree with that. But maybe we can slide something else in there that would be a better use for him rather than increasing his attack speed as a low health melee bot. Or we could just increase his health, either or. But I don't see them letting him have ranged attacks and having like stupid high health either. We'll see how that goes. We'll keep fighting that fight in playtest. Um, and it looks like my kids just already got the snow day. I just saw an email come across for that. Let's see. And now we're gonna make that beam untargetable. But it used to be a 45-second beam. It's gonna cut down to a 15 seconds, but it's untargetable, so it's gonna continue doing stuff. Now the change that we made today, and it's not in the tooltip yet, is we're playing around with giving Lockdown some glass gas and letting it use glass gas on that target, obviously softening it up so that you can, you know, get a damage increase for is whatever hits it. So we were struggling a lot with the damage portion of this bot for the ability. The part that I know is actually already really good is this healing beam laser. So it's going to let you regenerate 1% every 2 seconds for 10 seconds, uh, which I like that. I like that it's going to be a kind of a shorter duration, but you're just going to get a nice little jump. Um, and each time that you cast another one, it increases by another 0.5%. Um, this turret is also going to be untargetable, and it'll last for 15 seconds as well. So let's take a look at what that looks like in action. And to be honest with you, man, like, dude, some of the conversations that we got into, I felt like in playtest today was a little bit off topic. I feel like we started talking about whether or not this can solo zone 15 and 14. Bro, like, I don't really care about that, because we were talking about it doing it during a regular battle. I didn't think that added a lot of value, so we got to kind of get past that. What do we want this bot to do? And so the compromise that Dale made was like we kept saying we want more damage, we want more damage. He was like, hey man, well we're kind of looking at this as like a support bot. Well, first off, we didn't start off. He didn't start off saying it was a support bot. A couple of us were saying this is a support bot, and when we kind of started pushing the support bot narrative, they said, well let's give him glass gas. One of the testers said let's give him glass gas, and I was like, shoot, that'll be cool. So we'll just kind of look at what he does. So I'm just going to drop him there in the middle. Now that turret is not going to be targetable. And so you can see it's not doing a bunch of damage on its own. Yeah, the damage it's taking a long time to do the damage. So that's what we were talking about. But this healing turret, well, watch it work. So he was getting kind of low on health, and it's just picking him up really, really quickly. Now, I did at first it was just locking on to one target. We did have it set up so that it will actually be able to move to kind of like healers do. It'll go to whoever has the lowest health. And yeah, so we'll see how that goes. So let's see. I actually want to try this together in a team to see how it works, because like I look at this like it's a support piece. So I think that if you put it around the correct people, or correct bots, it's going to be just fine. Now, one thing I did take the liberty of doing is I put this 4-star level one Lancelot on it, just for pathing purposes, because he's melee. He's prone to running into trouble and getting himself killed. So just to keep him back a little bit, I put that Lancelot up there on him. That's Buzz Strike for you guys on the Autobot side. Seemed to work okay. S. Cloasi says worst decision the apes made was finally fixing nose cone and drill horn. Now that they are the worst in the game, now that they are the worst in the game, we are picking apart the other bots that we used to say, at least they aren't as bad as nose cone. Uh, Sylvester says Leo Prime was worthless fire also. So I don't. The way I look at this legacy patch thing is this. I think that we we want to put some bots in the game. We want to. I look at it like it's a chance to get rid of some power creep that set in over the years. And make the bots fun to use again. The game's supposed to be fun, right? Did I did I hit the wrong target? But and make these bots fun to use again. But that is, I think that's cool. I really like the project. Um, I wish they would just do. Some of these bots do need a lot of work, and that's the unfortunate part. Because for something like this, I feel like you should just be. I feel like you should just be using. You should be able to just do quick little bumps on damage and stuff like that. And that's just totally not the case. But something like this is cool. You give this guy multiple abilities. You keep his costs cheap. One of the things some testers were talking about. They were talking about giving him some AOE healing for the healing ability. Um, and a couple of us were saying that might be a little bit OP, depending on how much what you do percentage wise with it. Um, and I think what drove a lot of that is that people want it to be like Flatline and Minerva. So, but as long as it's getting the healing done, I know personally I would like to use that turret just to keep my healer alive and stuff like that. So we'll see. All right, let's go take a look at the chat one more time. And I think I'm gonna call it a night soon, guys. Tara says he doesn't get a snow day. Uh, yeah, man, everybody. I probably won't get one either. But I know you younger guys, you guys still in school. But yeah, our kids getting a snow day. Ferno getting in G1 this weekend, man. Honestly, I ain't heard nothing about it. Let's see. Lou Mega says we will still be able to spam his attack turrets. Yeah, yeah, you can still spam attack turrets. Yeah, Candyman says they should bring in Roller as an exclusive combat for Optimus. People have been getting really, really salty about these exclusives, but I do agree that they should do something like that. That would be dope. And I see Grim Studios joined us. Say, "Oh man, I missed it all." Hey man, make sure you just go back here and check me out. We talk almost every day anyway, so check out the replay. Let me know what you think, and yeah, we'll definitely chat it up over the next day or two. LJ Gaff said, "I'm getting this effing freezing tomorrow day." Let's see. Michael Cooper says lockdowns G1 should drop another tower that distracts defenses for a time. Yeah, I think, and we hadn't got to the point where we're doing G1s yet. We hadn't got to the part where we're even doing the 5-star yet. But I do think that we're gonna do something with the ability 11 in G1. So um, need ideas for that also. So yeah, that's definitely one of those things that falls in that category. Man, Jacada, I'm about to make the moderators kick you out, bro. He talking about it's gonna be a nice 68 degrees out there in Phoenix tomorrow. Yeah, man, I'm gonna have you removed, man. Like everybody else out here freezing. It's actually, I'm just gonna say it's gonna sound silly. I was gonna say it was a nice day today. It was like 35 degrees or whatever, and I was like, oh man, it's warm out. Nah, man, it's 35 degrees out. But all right, guys. Thank you for joining me on my stream this week. Um, I will let you know for sure, like probably Tuesday. I should be going back to Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern next week. So if that's the case, I'll make sure to let you know, regardless of how it turns out. But all right, man. You guys have a good night, and I'll see you next time, and I'll see you on the battlefield. Freezy is out.